Welcome everyone. I bid you all love and peace, knowledge, wisdom, and perpetual healing. I'm going to be speaking about dreaming in this video, why we dream, and why we should pay close attention to what we dream. I would like to kindly ask to please hit the like button, share this video, and subscribe with the red button to show your support. Also make sure to click the little bell to receive all new notifications. I personally am subscribed to my channel with my backup channel, and the past 2 videos that I uploaded, I didn't even get notified of my own videos. So make sure that you click the bell, and then I don't know, I guess keep checking the bell. I don't know what's up with YouTube, but it's greatly needed to get the video seen, as since I'm not monetizing my channel, it seems that the views went down substantially. I don't know, I guess maybe because YouTube thinks that they won't make money off of the I don't know. Regardless, just please make sure that you hit the like button so that the YouTube algorithm will pick it up, and I would appreciate it if you would share with your friends and family and on your channel as well. Our subconscious sees all and knows all. Now this is just my opinion, but dreams are a way for our subconscious to communicate messages that are vital. They're meant to alert or warn us. They're meant to heal us, and meant to guide our inner self or our soul into what is most beneficial for us. Our subconscious routinely uses images to convey its message to us. And this is why many times you'll hear people say, I had this weird dream. It just didn't make sense. I suggest that it does make sense, more sense than we actually know, at least for me personally. Upon scrutinizing reflection of these certain images within the dreams, as well as the feeling or perception that we have, or we felt during the dream, like scared, happy, sad, angry, peaceful, whatever it may be, tells us exactly what course of action that we should take in our waking life. Reoccurring dreams, in my opinion, are definitely red flags, alerts, warnings. It's your subconscious trying to urge you, hey, you're not listening. Hey, listen to me. So I'm just going to keep doing it over and over and over again. It kind of likens to, I remember when my children were little. Mom, 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 mom. They just kept saying it until finally they got an answer, you know? Or they got my attention. Now, I'd like to share one of my reoccurring dreams that I had roughly for about 7 years, but during that time, especially within the first couple of years, I would have sworn in court on a stack of Bibles that I had been dreaming it for at least 10 years. And in actuality, I had only been dreaming the dream for about 3 years. Approximately, I don't know when, if it was early or late, but somewhere in 2010 through 2017. I knew 2017 is when I stopped dreaming it, but that's the length of how long I had this reoccurring dream. It was so incredibly vivid that somewhere around the end of 2012, I think it was, or the beginning of 13, I actually began to question if the event in this dream actually happened. And I'm serious when I say that I was grappling with sanity. I literally I went as far as to call both ex-husbands and ask them if I had known these people who were in the dream, and if I had ever scheduled this meeting that was in the dream. Both of them said no, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I said okay, and then being perplexed and feeling a bit mentally lost. No, a lot. I thought I was losing it. I just didn't bring it up to anyone again. But the dream continued, like I said, until somewhere 2017. And 2017, I made a big change. I had been indoctrinated severely my whole life since a very, very small child. I was brought up Southern Baptist, you turn or burn. Yep, that's what I was preached and screamed at from a pulpit. You will burn perpetually, forever and ever, so don't do anything wrong and bad. And during this, in 2017 is when I came out of that. I came out of religion around 2017, and that's when this dream stopped. But before that time, I was going through a huge religious battle. Like, things weren't good for me, and mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, and I turned, like I had been taught, to quote-unquote God, the God of the Bible. Read my Bible all of the time, constantly praying, seeking, please help, help, help. And I went through a pretty crazy time for about 7 years. And now, to the best of my ability, I will share this dream with some images that kind of portray what the dream looked like to me. And the dream always begins with me looking at my hands, and I'm holding a small card, and it's a white card, and it has gold and embossing around it, and it has a date, and it has a time, and it has a place. I don't know the date, I don't know time, I don't know location. I just know that the piece of paper was an invitation, and it had a specific date, time, and location. And the invitation was given to me by these two men. And what exactly was this event that the three of us would be attending? It was a tombstone ceremony. Not a wedding, not a party. Nope. Someone had died, and we had 1 year until we were meeting up in the cemetery. And the reason that we had a year was because the three of us had to save up money to purchase this headstone. And it wasn't a normal headstone. But not a normal headstone. No. This was an anchor. And even though the picture on the screen is like a flat image, in my dream, it was an anchor that was carved out of stone that we were going to place on top of the grave. A 3D stone anchor, I guess you could say. Now, because I was previously in the Navy, and the Navy anchor, I assumed that this was a naval dream. And these two men, I knew in the dream that I worked with them. They worked with me. And the tombstone, the anchor tombstone that we all had a year to meet back up together to save up for, was for the chief, that we all worked for. End scene, everything goes black. Then, new scene, I'm standing in a graveyard, and it's very, very sunny and bright outside. And both of my friends / co-workers, were standing there waiting for me when I got there. Now, when I seen them standing there, they were both very tall. I'd say, like, not super attractive, but I don't know, they weren't unattractive. Very hard to describe, but very tall. One had sandy blonde hair. He stood on the right. And the one that had dark, kind of curlier hair stood on the left. And as soon as I saw them, I ran to them. I immediately grabbed a hold and hugged the one with dark hair. And then I looked to the one on the right with the sandy blonde hair, and I grabbed a hold of him and I hugged him. And I tell you that I felt it's difficult to describe the feelings. It was love, but it was like he was my father, my brother, and my son, all of whom I had not seen in an extremely long time. And I was so joyful to be touching him and being, quote unquote, back with him. Like, he was mine. I don't know, very hard to describe, but wow, overwhelming feelings of peace and love and happiness and joy and comfort. And then I looked at them both and I said, why is it only the three of us here? A lot of people knew the chief. Quotation marks, the chief. Lots of people worked with the chief. Why didn't any of them pitch in for this tombstone, this grave marker? Why aren't they here? And I didn't get an answer. And I'd also like to point out that this entire time, none of us spoke with our mouths. It was all telepathic talk. We just looked at one another and we were speaking through our minds. No one's mouth was moving. I didn't get an answer, even though I asked. They just both looked at me. And then, black. Scene ends in black. Now, I'm standing in an underground cave. And it's really old. It's stone, just like what this looks like. However, the table that you see that's on the left, I guess, it was on the right, and it followed like the curve of the hole from the right to the left was like a table that jutted out from the wall. And all along that table were books upon books upon books upon books, opened up everywhere. And then I looked off to the left, and there was a tank. And inside of the tank, I could see that there was something in the corner. And I got really, really intrigued, and I was like, what's that? And I came closer to it, and I noticed that it was an octopus. And the octopus was all gray, and to me it looked like it was dying. It was all over in the corner and kind of like shriveled up and gray. And I immediately thought, oh, it's dying. I need to help it and help it. Maybe it needs food. And I looked around and I seen like some kind of air pressurized thing. And I was like, oh, it hasn't been getting oxygen. So I went and I flicked this thing on. And all of a sudden, all of a sudden it turned bright red, and I think it had orange spots, but it came right up to the glass and scared me silly. I jumped back and I said, "Oh my, that's old." And I turned to my right, and the blonde guy was there, and he said to me, "Ancient, in fact." And then once again my eyes were drawn to the big table that wrapped around the whole inner part of the cave that had all of the books upon books upon open books upon open books. Then black. And that scene ended. Now I'm standing in a huge circular room, and I'm standing dead center in the very center circle of this circular room. And as soon as I open my eyes, this is actually like a downward looking view, but when I opened my eyes, I was standing in the middle and I was looking up, and all I could see was a circle ceiling that was painted with blue clouds and had angels all over the place. And my first thought was, are you in a church, in a cathedral? And I thought, because I seen the angels painted. Then I looked to my right. I was standing here. Then I looked to my right, and there were 3 flags here. 3, well, what my eye caught was the flag poles. There were 3 gold flag poles right here. And I was standing here. Or maybe it was here. Yeah, I was here. And I don't remember the doors being here. I do remember a door here and a door here, but I don't remember a door here. At any rate, I'm here, and there's 3 flagpoles here to my right. And I'm thinking, flags. Now this must be a courthouse and not a church. And as I thought that, the middle pole came out, and that blonde guy was there, and he had a flagpole, but it wasn't a flagpole, it was a gold staff in his hand, and he stepped out and came to me in the center. And he thrust that gold staff at me, and I reached up before I knew, and just like instinctively, I grabbed it. As soon as I had my right hand on it, he let his hand go, and all of a sudden, I was like overwhelmed with a feeling of responsibility, and it was terrifying, the great responsibility. And he told me, now he's not here anymore. He gave it to me. I'm standing here with it in my hand. Now he appears to me, and he's here directly in front of me. And when I look at him, I think, I know you. Like, here's what I thought. This is my local town courthouse where I was born and raised, which again doesn't make sense in the literal because I was adopted, and like this isn't, that wouldn't be local to me. But that's what I thought in the dream. This is my local courthouse, and this man, to me, worked in the community, and he was a farmer, and I knew him, and I liked him, and we were friends here, unlike in the graveyard, where I felt more like he was my son, father, husband, whatever. Here it was like he was a farmer, but of my community. So he's standing there, and he comes up to me and he says, "Whatever you do, don't leave this spot. Stand right here." And I said, "Huh?" And he said, "But if you do leave this spot, don't leave that staff. Take it with you wherever you go." And I went, "Ugh." And I looked up at the staff, and now there was a It was like, I want to say like a crystal ball, but it was, you could see through it. It was like an orb, I guess, like a see-through orb floating above, floating above the gold staff. And inside of that, there were 3 insects. I thought that they were mosquitoes, maybe they were flies, and I keep bouncing back and forth whether they were black or green. But here's my point in telling you this. When I looked up and I saw those 3 things, again, I looked down and his words ran over me. Don't leave the spot, but if you do, whatever you do, keep this with you. And I said, oh, I'm not leaving this spot. And then, bam, blackness scene end. All of a sudden, I'm outside. Now, didn't that man just tell me not to leave that spot? He most certainly did. And it was almost like as soon as he said, do not leave this spot, I was like, oh no, there's no way I am, because this doesn't feel right. Bam, here I am. I'm outside the courthouse, not in that circle anymore. I'm outside. It's pitch black. And I start walking down this road, and there's a street lamp. It was on my left, not on the right. And I was like, oh my gosh, he told me not to go out, to leave. Why am I here? And I looked up to make sure whatever that was on the staff was still there. Petrified fear overwhelmed me. One of those things were missing. It wasn't there. And I looked ahead on the left to that street lamp, and there it was. It was hovering around the lamp. And I immediately ran up to it, and I took the I took the staff that had the orb, and I just had the thought to put the orb underneath, blend the orb light in with the artificial lamp light that was there, and whatever that fly thing or mosquito was, it would think that it was there, but I would have actually captured it. So I went and I did that, and the fly or mosquito or whatever it was jumped back into my little orb. I yanked it away from that street light, and I looked up, and then I just had a sigh of relief, and then black. Scene end. And end of the dream. Every time I woke up, I was like, wait, what then? Then what happens? Several things spoke to me through all of this dream. The 2 men, like co-workers. Did anybody realize that after the graveyard scene, he wasn't there anymore? It was only the blonde-headed guy who was on my right. As soon as the graveyard scene was done and the gravestone was in place, the dark-headed guy was gone, and it was only the blonde-headed guy. I'm pretty sure that the dark-haired one was like representing the Archangel Michael energy. You know, the warrior came and had to make sure that the quote-unquote chief, the chief archon, was dead, buried, and had an anchor on top of him so he wasn't going anywhere. And after that was completed, his job was done. And I'm going to go ahead and say that the blonde one was, I guess, what everyone would call the Archangel Gabriel energy. The messenger, always there talking to me. He was the one who spoke telepathically to me. The dark hair one never spoke to me at all. He was very silent. But the blonde head one and I communicated via telepathy. Now, I don't believe in angels, but I believe that that was myself in imagery telling myself that Michael, the warrior, the strength of God or good, righteousness, stepped in. And then the messenger portion of, okay, so let me back up. So Michael would be like the strength and the will of God, okay, or God/goodness, righteousness, the all. Gabriel, in my opinion, stands for your subconscious, all of the knowledge and the wisdom that's available to guide us and lead us. I sense for the past 3 years, as I'm learning definitely, that I buried the chief archon, the anchor on it, the cross and the anchor, the 2 men workers, but yet the blonde one was my husband, child, father. Okay, I got that. The octopus, that makes sense now. All of the open books make sense now. The courthouse, a circle, stay right here in the middle of law and righteousness and goodness. That makes sense to me now. The staff with the 3 insects in it. I don't know. I'm kind of grappling. You guys can put in the comment section what you feel. I think that was possibly my, my mind, my body, and my spirit. I was the soul holding on to those 3 things, and possibly that's what it was. Maybe it was subconscious, conscious, unconscious mind. I don't know. I just know it was 3. But here's what I do know that was, I got a great feeling. When the staff was given to me and I saw those things, I was not scared or worried for myself. It was the responsibility that these things were going to harm other people. That's what the whole deal was. I was petrified that what I had control of was going to hurt people. And in my mind, these things were like, they're deadly. It was deadly. So, yeah, since 2017, no more. I've asked to dream that again, and absolutely, I have not, but I've been given the interpretation of it all, and I believe that was my 7-year struggle that I went through. Now, I've asked several times to speak to that quote-unquote man, that blonde-headed man. When I lay down at night, I say, please bring that energy, that spirit back to me, and teach me, and let me commune, and, just be with me. And although I kept praying to redream that other dream and see him, and that never happened, after 2017, I believe 2018, maybe the end of 2018, I had a dream, and I was sitting in my bathroom here in this apartment, and I was sitting on the toilet. Now, I wasn't using the bathroom, but I was sitting on the toilet, and I was looking out the window, and there was light coming in. All of a sudden, the blonde man appeared in front of me, and he was even taller than I saw in the graveyard. And this time, instead of him wearing, like, I don't know, construction or farm clothes, now he was totally dressed in white. Was it pants, shirts, a robe? Couldn't tell. All fuzzy, but all white. And he was just standing there, and I got so happy. And again, we began to communicate telepathically. He had a book in his hand that was open, and he looked down, and then he looked back up to me, made eye contact, and he asked me a question telepathically. I answered immediately, and he gave me a nod of approval, eyebrow went up, and looked down to the book, looked back at me, asked me a second question. I immediately, just as fast, answered that question, and now I can see that his face he's got a smile, and he's nodding his head up and down a couple more times like he's pleased, and I'm pleased that he's pleased. Then he looks down at the book, looks back at me the 3rd time, and asks me a question mentally. I don't know what any of these questions were. I just know whatever it was, I immediately answered the first 2. Then the 3rd, he asked me, and I sat, and I didn't say anything to him. it took to me in the dream a long time. Like I mulled over and mulled over and mulled over whatever his question was. And finally, I looked at him and I gave the answer. And a big smile came across his face. And I could just see that whatever it was that I was right, I guess, or I had pleased him with the answer. And that kind of confuses me as well, because I'm like, well, great, I'm glad that he was happy with my answers, but I have no clue what the questions were. And I kind of think that, well, not kind of think, I do. I know that that's going to be later on, that'll be revealed to me as well. I just kept thinking, and that was the end of the dream. I just kept thinking that, whatever that last question was gave me pause. Huge pause. It was very difficult to answer it. And it was like he was judging me to see what I can't, it's very, very, very strange to explain. But, yeah, that was about 2 years ago, and though I dream constantly, every night I dream, because I wake up knowing that I've been on quote-unquote missions, and I'm learning things, I always wake up and go, yeah, that, and that's how you that. And then I wake up and I'm like, that and this is that. What, that doesn't help me, Kathy, but it does. My subconscious is teaching me and guiding me and healing me in my dreams. And yours will too, if you focus your energy inward and not outward. That's it, you guys. I love you all. I bid you love, peace, knowledge, wisdom, perpetual healing. Please leave your comments in the comment section below. As I said, subscribe. Hit the like button so that the YouTube algorithm picks it up. Hit the notification bell and keep checking on that. Make sure that it's working for you. And if you are able to donate, please do so. My channel is not monetized. And it would help greatly go towards future creation cost.